Diddy is losing it. Everything seems to be crashing down on him.
Those heavily armored gear and equipment, I don't think they're actually searching for any items that could connect whatever the investigation is. I would venture to say that those are going to be the guys that you're seeing right there, and they're waiting for that all clear. And then this group that you see there, those are the ones that are actually going to go inside.
He was once the king of hip-hop, and now he sits in jail.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs threatened and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended performances with male commercial actors, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercials, and often involved a variety of such and which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video and later reported in the media.
Does Diddy actually have anyone left in his corner? Even his own family seems to be turning on him now. It's been reported that his youngest son, Christian King Combs, has gone behind his back just to save his own skin. They used to perform together, and Christian only had good things to say.
Last night, because you were out till 3 in the morning doing rehearsal?
Yeah, we was out a little late. Me and my pops, we got a show tonight on YouTube. It's going to be lit, so you know him, had us at the rehearsals going hard.
He's still in New York?
Yeah, he out here right now.
God, I thought he'd been left.
Nah, he left, he came right back, though.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And, getting all the kids to know about it, that's my age, because you'd be surprised. Some people don't even really know about certain things. Like, they didn't even know, like, that sample was from Lil' Kim and Lil' C's. Like, a lot of my friends didn't even know that. Or, like, when they see the video me and Kodak did, we redid the Crush on You Lil' Kim video, they thought I came up with that. So it's like, just putting them on, I feel like we could take it even further, He said 20 years from now, still be on top, so.
And you're not going to believe the way he allegedly threw his dad under the bus. Ever since the CCTV footage of Diddy harming Cassie came out, pretty much no one has been on his side or willing to come to his defense.
But sadly, she's become more well known for the abuse she claims to have suffered at the hands of her ex, Sean Combs, than her music. Her debut album, Cassie, was a hit, and the critics even praised it. Her second album was expected in 2008, but it never came. She released some singles here and there, but Connecticut Fever, that never hit the shelves. Cassie had signed a 10-album deal with Combs' Bad Boy Entertainment, but only one album was released. Her career, we now know, according to her bombshell civil lawsuit, was likely derailed and put on hold by a decade of abuse she says she suffered at the hands of Sean Combs. And it's been nearly a year since Ventura filed that bombshell civil lawsuit. Part of it read, over the years that Mr. Combs abused Ms. Ventura physically and she again and again tried to escape his tight hold over her life. Every time she hid, Mr. Combs' vast network of corporations and affiliated entities found her, and those who worked for Mr. Combs' companies implored her to return to him. Many went as far to explicitly state that her failure to return to Mr. Combs would hinder her success in the entertainment industry. Ventura had recorded music during her relationship with Combs, but mostly singles were released. Ventura's suit said after she tried to leave Combs, following that now infamous 2016 incident captured by hotel security cameras, where Combs actually chased Ventura down a hallway and beat her. Her music was used as leverage to get her to come back to Combs. The suit said, after this, Miss Ventura left her home in Comstock and went to hide away at a friend's home in Florida. James Cruz, president of Bad Boy Management, tracked Ms. Ventura down and told her that her single would not be released if she did not answer Mr. Combs' phone calls.
Everyone around the world was shocked by what they saw.
Sean Combs traumatized me in order to corroborate the claims Cassie made in her lawsuit against Diddy. Tiffany, thank you for joining us. It is so difficult, so horrific to watch this and wonder what life must have been and may have been like. Can you take us back to that time, Tiffany, and tell us what Diddy was like from your personal observations, what their relationship was like? Is there context you can give?
I mean, I can definitely provide context around like this incident. Cassie confided in me about this incident when I was working with her around this time, around 2016. We were working on her sophomore album, and she told me about this situation. Their relationship was volatile for sure. And he, like, you could tell that she was afraid of him, you know, and that there was a lot of control. And yeah, sorry, it's witnessing,
what do you feeling?
Well, I mean, the thing is like I said, this is something that Cassie confided in me about back then. And like the one thing specifically that always stuck out to me about the story was him throwing the vase at her. And to see, I remember her saying, you know, I remember it being at the Intercontinental. I remember the whole situation. But to like know a story is one thing, but to see it is something different. And then also to see it, somebody that you care about, like, you know, it's that a video of my friend getting violently assaulted is all over the world, and no one was there to help her.
And former employees spoke out as well.
I felt sick, and I felt violently angry, and I felt like I'm sure a lot of men and women feel looking at that video, that it's so disturbing, that the video doesn't lie.
I mean, you know, when I watched it, what stood out to me initially after Elizabeth Wagmeister got it was she's barefoot in the beginning. And it's like she was so quickly running out of the room to get to the elevator that she didn't even put her shoes on yet.
I mean, that's terror. That's what you would do if there was a fire, right? You would just run out, grab what you could. So I can only imagine looking at that, the fear that she felt she had to get out of that room in bare feet in order to be safe or protect herself.
I mean, you worked closely with him.
I did. I was his assistant between 2008 and 2009, and they were dating when I worked for him.
All of Diddy's closest friends are seemingly too afraid of being taken down with him. Just look at Jay-Z.
Hip-hop mogul Jay-Z. His name has been revealed. The allegation is that he and Diddy, a 13-year-old girl, at an after party in the year 2000 after the MTV Video Music Awards. Now, Jay-Z is denying these allegations. In a statement he posted to his X account, he denies the allegations and questions why this was done civilly, why this civil lawsuit was filed demanding money, and why a criminal complaint has not been made. He writes, quote, "My lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations, and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir, it had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny." End quote. So that was what Jay-Z said publicly on his X account. In a statement to ABC News, that attorney Mr. Busby said, quote, "The pleading speaks for itself. This is a very serious matter that will be litigated in court."
Jay-Z and his lawyer strongly refute the claims,
citing an NBC News exclusive that found inconsistencies with the accuser's account.
We expect Mr. Carter to be fully cleared of all of this in the coming days. Almost nothing that she says has checked out because this never happened.
This in the wake of our interview with a 38-year-old mother from Alabama who accuses Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, and Sean Diddy Combs of her when she was 13 years old. She asked us not to reveal her identity.
What made you want to come forward? Because I think that I've been quiet long enough.
She says that she might have some facts wrong, but that she says the incident happened. What do you say to that?
You know, anybody, when they make up a claim, they can just keep repeating it and getting it right. But you never get the details right. And what happened during her interview with you is that the story began to unravel.
On the night of the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000, she says Combs' limo driver took her to an after party. There, she says she spoke to musician Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo. That's the Last Supper.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative for the Maddens confirmed they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at that time. At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter b***ed her. She says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up.
We rode home in silence. She didn't ask me what happened.
In an interview with NBC News, her father said he could not corroborate her story. "I feel like I would remember that, and I don't," he said. The woman revealed to us that she has autism and previously suffered a head injury. In a follow-up phone interview, we asked her about the contradictions, and she said that she stands by her statements.
This woman is standing by her story. It happened over 20 years ago. Maybe her memory is hazy. Maybe her father doesn't remember that night.
No, she's doubled down on certain of these details. She says, "I'm positive." She points out the tattoo. She talks about the tattoo in vivid detail. Turns out that's completely false. And the father is supposed to be picking her up. 10-hour drive, round trip to pick her up in the middle of the night. Has no memory of that. No one has come forward about this in nearly a quarter of a century, and that's because this never happened.
Pretty much just been his kids who have been publicly defending their dad. But rumor has it that even they have now given up on him. And they're secretly turning against him. Apparently, his son Christian is looking into making deals that will get him out of trouble at the expense of his father. Because it seems that the apple didn't fall far from the tree. The LA Times was just one of many outlets to report that Christian found himself dealing with his own lawsuit in April 2024 after a woman accused him of harming her on a yacht.
A lawsuit against Christian earlier this year. And we remember that O'Markey's civil lawsuit accuses Christian of assault, battery, assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress for an alleged incident that happened on Sean Combs' yacht back in 2022. And I'm going to talk about the timing of the service of these papers in a second, but first I want to recap this lawsuit for you. So according to the civil complaint, O'Markey, 25 years old at the time this happened, or allegedly happened, says that she was working as a steward on the yacht that Sean Combs had rented or chartered, and she was in charge of providing food and drinks for a 12-hour period. And she actually said that she believes the alcohol on that yacht had been laced with because she says that women would have one drink and then almost immediately pass out or start falling over. And again, that is very consistent with allegations that have been made before against Sean Combs. In fact, she described what she thought would be a wholesome family excursion to what she describes as a hedonistic environment.
Without his dad around to protect or guide him anymore, it seems like Christian has been getting himself into some sticky situations.
Now, going back to Christian Combs, O'Markey says that Christian, he'd been staying at a villa on the shore, but then he would come onto the yacht in the evenings to party and have a good time. And now we focus on December 28th, 2022. She says that Christian reportedly arrives on that yacht very intoxicated, and then pressures her to take shots of tequila. She says that she did, that Christian allegedly tried to get her to drink more, and she tried to get her to drink more in the yacht's makeshift recording studio. And that's important, and I'll explain why in a second. The complaint reads, at this point, defendant C. Combs violently grabbed plaintiff's arm and began hurting her. He pulled plaintiff to the seat beside him and prevented her from getting up. And she says from there, she claims from there, that Christian allegedly kisses her neck and face as he gropes her legs, her areas, and according to her, she reportedly tells Christian, quote, "Excuse me, you don't touch my legs like that."
Which could mean that he might need to take some drastic measures, like snitching on his own flesh and blood, just to make sure that he doesn't end up behind bars like his old man.
Never did anything. I never set up a meeting for him. Then now to see him do it himself, we're out here doing it together. I didn't imagine that. I don't even know if I'm answering the question. I'm like looking at him and I'm seeing him as a baby. Yes. And I'm seeing his mother telling me like this, that, and I'm just like overwhelmed with just so much stuff. So please answer the questions because I'm just in love with the moment.
From day one, being backstage on tour, that was a big inspiration for me. So I always told him I'm a bad boy for life regardless. We gotta keep the label going forever.
Y'all had that conversation? It seemed like you were going into other things and Bad Boy just kind of like chill.
Just a month after the lawsuit against him came out, Christian did something that a lot of people thought was a pretty foolish move to make. According to the LA Times, he put out a song that poked fun at the legal situation his family was in. In his track, Pick A Side, Christian basically denied all the allegations against him and his dad, and he even referenced the infamous raids on his dad's homes in LA and Miami. The rapper also took aim at people who were dissing his father by being on the No Diddy campaign. He called out the people who were throwing shade at his family, and to highlight his theory about why they were being so negative, he rapped the line, "Hating 'cause we rich." There were some other lyrics in his song that made a lot of eyes roll, because he was singing about a legal situation that was still part of an open investigation against his dad. One of the lines from Pick a Side went like this: "Too bad they ain't know we bought the one next door, 'cause that's the one they missed." He was basically taunting the FBI for not raiding one of his dad's homes that was allegedly right next to one of his mansions. The online world just couldn't understand why he would be revealing that kind of information for the whole world to see, including the feds who were working on the case.
And that's right where the bodyguard with a gun was, and they told me to sit down. So I sat down on this makeshift bench out of buckets and a plywood, and I just had to sit there and just kind of listen to Sean Combs brag about what he did to me and that he's gotten away with more serious crimes and no one would believe me. And he mentioned Tupac and
To be clear, this is outside now. This is in the backyard. You have now moved out towards the backyard where they are all sitting outside?
yeah, they were all in the backyard sitting outside just having fun with each other, like, and they were smoking and drinking like it was just a normal day for them.
Diddy's ex-bodyguard, Gene Deal, was asked about his thoughts on the song released by Christian. In his interview with The Art of Dialogue, Gene shared that it was a really bad idea to ridicule the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He said that rapping about how the feds hit up the wrong house was a dumb thing for his former employer's son to do.
Don't play with the feds, bro. Because you got to realize this. They got a lot of time.
Some people pointed out that Christian also made the mistake of dissing a powerful celebrity on his track, because aside from taunting the American government, he also laid into his dad's hip-hop rival, 50 Cent. Of course, we all know by now that 50 Cent is not one to let things slide, and it didn't take long for him to put out some social media posts where he ragged on his nemesis's son. He started his first post off by joking, "I feel so threatened by the things Christian is saying on his record. I'm afraid for my life. Please don't hurt me, guys."
Docuseries that you've been working on, Diddy Do It.
Right.
You've been saying for years that you feel you knew Diddy's character.
Right.
Yet you've said you weren't a part of that lifestyle. You weren't going to the parties. So what makes you so absolutely sure that these kinds of allegations that we've seen against him are true?
Well, I'm surprised by the allegations, as surprised as everyone else is. Like, I didn't make the allegations. I didn't tell people to say these things. It comes out, I see it in the news like everyone else. But I did feel uncomfortable with the way he would present the idea of going to these projects.
To come party with me.
Yeah. And then that swayed me away from it, just that alone.
So you didn't realize the...
As much stuff has come, like, when I seen today, it was allegations of 3 men that said he drugged them and
Like Gene, he also commented on how he thought that it was stupid that the young rapper had talked about raiding the wrong home when the feds were still investigating. The LA Times pointed out how even though song lyrics are protected under the First Amendment, there have been criminal trials where they've been submitted as evidence. So, if what Christian was bragging about in his lyrics was actually true, then he could have shot himself in the foot by telling the entire world about it. 50 Cent also brought up the case against Christian in one of his social media posts. calling him a bad boy for life. In December 2024, In Touch Weekly released a report about how Diddy's youngest son had been served with legal paperwork by the woman accusing him, Grace O'Marcaigh.
Sean Combs now faces. Well, to discuss that, I want to bring in criminal defense attorney Natalie Whittingham-Burrell to talk more about this. Natalie, thank you so much for coming here on Sidebar. Appreciate it.
Hi, Jesse. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So first, let me start from a basic point of law. How much do civil cases that might be alleging similar conduct as criminal charges, how much does a result in a civil case affect a criminal case?
Not at all. So it doesn't affect the criminal case. The jury in a criminal case is supposed to remain fair and unbiased and only consider the facts that they're hearing in the courtroom. As far as the judge is concerned, if the judge is going to be imposing a sentence because the jury found the person guilty, the judge should be considering what happened in the courtroom. And usually they don't take into consideration civil liability. I've heard many judges say, I know that there's a concurrent case in the civil courts. We're going to let that play out. This is separate and apart from that. And the reason being is that it's a different burden of proof, beyond a reasonable doubt versus preponderance of the evidence. And so for that reason, you can't really let what happens in the civil context.
Some court documents that the outlet had gotten hold of revealed that she'd sent the paperwork to Diddy's mansion in Miami, and the things that she'd accused Christian of doing will send chills down your spine. It honestly sounds like his dad has had a major influence on him, and not in a good way.
She said that she stands by her statements. I have made some mistakes, she said. Honestly, what is the clearest is what happened to me. The inconsistencies in her account of an incident alleged to have happened 24 years ago does not necessarily mean the allegations are false. The accuser's attorney, Tony Busby, said, because we have interrogated her intensely, she has even agreed to submit to a polygraph. This has been extremely distressing for her, to the point she has experienced seizures and had to seek medical treatment due to the stress. In a statement to NBC News, Sean Carter said, this incident didn't happen, and yet he filed it in court and doubled down in the press. True justice is coming. We fight from victory, not for victory.
Is any part of you scared coming out against such powerful people?
Yeah, I'm scared of what could happen, but I'm more afraid of letting it eat me alive from the inside out than I am of being chastised by their fans.
Grace said that she was working as a stewardess on a yacht named Victorious, which Diddy had chartered in the summer of 2022.
Tonight, more accusations against Sean Diddy Combs, and now one of his sons. A new 31-page lawsuit filed on Thursday details a trip in 2022 where the plaintiff alleges she was working as a stewardess aboard a yacht owned by Combs when his son, Christian, and her. The lawsuit alleges that an audio recording made during the night in question is evidence of the woman denying his advances as he gropes her. The plaintiff's lawyer provided those clips to NBC News. In one recording, a woman, believed to be the alleged victim, is heard saying,
"Excuse me, you don't touch my legs like that. I'll move my legs the way I want to. If I want to do this, then I will. You don't touch my legs like that."
Soon after, according to the lawsuit, Christian speaks and tries to get her to stay.
Who can I talk to? I'm going to say I requested you right now.
Well, you can take your hand off my for the first thing.
According to the lawsuit, the alleged victim then left the recording studio and attempted to resume her stewardess duties. But the suit alleges Christian found her again, this time asking her to find him a place to sleep. She claims she showed him to a cinema area, but instead of resting, she alleges in the suit that he became violent and wouldn't let her leave. Her, the lawsuit claims, took his clothes off, grabbed her arms, and tried to force her to perform on him. The woman claims she fought him off until someone else walked in. The lawsuit includes photos of a bruised forearm, allegedly the victim's. As for Christian's famous father, the suit claims he turned what was sold as a wholesome family excursion on his yacht into a hedonistic environment where employees were exposed without their consent to unlawful drug use, sex work, and general chaos. Representatives for Christian and Sean Combs did not respond to NBC's request for comment.
In the lawsuit, she alleged that Diddy transformed what was sold as a wholesome family excursion into a hedonistic environment when he hosted a party on board the boat.
It comes amid a wave of legal troubles for the rap mogul.
Grace made the claim that it resulted in an unexpected increase in workload for her and her colleagues, as well as unwanted exposure to illegal substance use, adult work, and general chaos. She claimed that when Christian saw her on the yacht, he became interested in her straight away, and he gave her some attention that she found very inappropriate. Her legal team wrote, Grace was quite scared and realized she was in a very dangerous situation. She reportedly felt that the drinks she'd been offered were spiked with something, as she began to feel their effects not long after drinking them. Later on in the day, Grace alleged that Christian cornered her in a room and became physical and extremely aggressive. According to her, he then removed his clothes and tried to get her to engage in adult activities with him, despite her repeated rejections. It wasn't until another employee walked into the room they were in that Grace was allegedly able to get away from him. So, as you can see, Christian has gotten himself into a lot of trouble. Maybe not as much as his father, but enough that he could face some super serious consequences. A video by Peeper claimed that Christian has become so scared of what might happen to him that he's actually decided to rat on his own father in order to save himself. But publicly, Christian has made it known that he is 100% behind his dad. He and his siblings even released a statement defending their father against the horrific allegations that have come out against him. An article by Vibe looked at how Diddy's oldest son, Quincy Brown, put out a statement that showed that he and his brothers and sisters were standing by their father. In an Instagram post, he wrote that the family had been devastated since Diddy's arrest. Quincy said that many people had judged both Diddy and his kids based on accusations, conspiracy theories, and false narratives that had spiraled into absurdity on social media. He shared, "We stand united, supporting you every step of the way. We hold on to the truth, knowing it will prevail, and nothing will break the strength of our family." Quincy finished the statement by saying that he and his siblings missed and loved their dad. But is that public support really a true reflection of how all of Diddy's kids feel about their dad?
Speaking of Diddy, he got met with another lawsuit today. It's about him waving
He
a
gonna
gun
get
in
his ass beat in every week.
right, like he kept waving a gun in a car chase this time.
He's the diddler.
Do you think he did everything? All these
He's
things?
the diddler. He's the devil. Didn't I say it?
Yeah, you said this.
I told y'all when I was wearing this t-shirt and my fatigues, our first big million-view interview in 3 weeks. Remember the first time on the blue couch? And I said, I hate talking about all of these things, and I pray to God his kids doesn't hear it, but their father is the devil. Was I exaggerating 2 years later?
No, not at all.
So let me ask you this, Jack. Why do you think Diddy's kids spoke out publicly?
What choice do they have?
Even I think one of the sons did a rap and he's like, you
what
know.
choice do they have? When you're dealing with the kind of narcissistic control freak that Diddy is, and you raise children under that, the financial abuse for all of them is probably the worst. Because there's no way they can make money without him. He has them locked in. And if he falls, who's going to hire them? Who's going to fund them? Who's going to look out for them? No one.
Right.
No one. They're not fighting for their father. They're fighting for their survival. What they all gonna do? Go work at the Good Burger or the Wahlburger? What they gonna do?
Because there's the theory that some of them are just pretending to show that they're behind him when they're actually working against him in private.
His reputation is tarnished. They're also being implicated in some of his crimes. They will be pariahs. They're gonna be worse off than OJ's kids.
So what's stopping any?
Like, did y'all hear what I just said?
Yeah, I frowned up. I was like, dang.
Does anybody think about what happened
to OJ's
to Nicole
kids?
Brown Simpson's children that she had with Orenthal James?
No one even talks about them. What happened?
It's like they don't even exist. And their lives are a lot more humble than they would have been. Nobody's thinking about that. And these are children who not only are attached to all of this wealth and privilege, but now they're the children of the devil. It doesn't matter if they've done nothing wrong. They're all going to assume they know something, no matter what they do. They could sit on 1 million charities from here to now, and they will all be known as Diddy's children. That's just like being called Rosemary Baby. They're screwed. Nobody wants anything to do with that. And when it gets to that point, they just shun you. Like I said, what they gonna do? Open up a bunch of wing stops? You see what they're trying to do with this reality TV business? Awful choice right now. And I'll say it again, especially with what is happening with Kim's sons. I'm so grateful that she doesn't have to witness any of this.
Isn't the only one who's been accused of secretly betraying his dad. There have been rumors that his other son, Justin Combs, has also lost the loyalty he had towards his father, and you'll never guess why. There have been recent news reports that Justin was having some money trouble, which seems weird, considering that he is the son of one of the richest celebrities in Hollywood. I mean, sure, it's been said that Diddy's money is circling the drain quickly these days. Us Weekly reported that his fortune went down from $740 million in 2019 to $400 million in 2024. But that's still more money than the average person could ever dream of making in their lifetime. An article by In Touch Weekly covered a story about how Justin was facing a $190,000 lawsuit by Porsche Leasing Ltd. According to the car company, Justin owed them $172,000 in missed payments on a Bentley which he bought in 2022. They also wanted $13,000 in interest fees. It seems that Justin agreed to make 42 monthly payments of around $3,000, but he defaulted on those payments in December 2023. So, in June 2024, he was reportedly served when he was staying at his father's $61 million mansion. What was Justin's excuse for not paying on time? Well, his attorney shared a statement with In Touch, saying that because of an address change, Justin didn't receive his bill, which led to the missed payments. The lawyer added that they were in touch with the creditor and the matter was being settled, so the outstanding balance would be paid and the lawsuit would be dropped. However, there hasn't been any confirmation that that's happened yet. And why would Diddy let his son get into this kind of debt in the first place? There are theories that it might be some kind of punishment. A report by Sportskeeda revealed that a number of online users think that Diddy might have cut Justin off. One Instagrammer alleged that Diddy had kept his son dependent on him and then cut him off because he hadn't been vocal enough in defending him. A YouTube video by Kiki's Tea made a similar claim. And it went on to say that there were reports that because he'd supposedly been cut off, Justin was ready to snitch on his dad. And there's another conspiracy theory going around which is kind of like the one about Christian turning on his dad in order to protect himself from the law, because Justin doesn't exactly have a squeaky clean slate. In February 2024, he was named as a defendant in the lawsuit that producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones brought against Diddy. According to a CNN report, Justin was accused of soliciting adult workers and underage girls to go to his father's infamous parties. The lawsuit claimed that Justin was part of something called the RICO Enterprise, a group of people working for Diddy who committed illegal crimes on his behalf. Lil Rod alleged that he had hundreds of hours of video and audio recordings that proved that Justin and the other members of the enterprise were doing all kinds of awful things. It was reported in the court documents that the criminal organization orchestrated and managed the enterprise by purchasing and distributing illegal substances and firearms. And the shocking allegations against Justin in that lawsuit didn't stop there. He was also accused by Lil Rod of doing something even more dark and criminal. The HuffPost reported that according to Lil Rod, both Justin and his father were involved in a massive cover-up. In an amended complaint he filed in March, he claimed that either Diddy or his son, one of Justin's friends, a 30-year-old man named G. Lil Rod, made the accusation that the shooting took place at Chalice Recording Studio in LA back in September 2022. The complaint even included pictures of a bloodied restroom where the supposed crime took place. Apparently, there was a writers and producers camp taking place at the studio that month, and Justin and his father reportedly got into an argument with G. The three of them were said to have headed into a bathroom nearby, and Lil Rod alleged that he later heard shots being fired from there. According to the court documents, he then saw Diddy and Justin exit the bathroom, but G stayed there. He was supposedly lying on the floor in the fetal position, with blood all around him. Lil Rod said that he rushed inside to help Justin's friend. He applied pressure to his injuries and helped prop him up against a toilet. Apparently, there were other witnesses to this around, and he told them to call 911. The complaint claimed that G was physically incapable of walking, so the producer had to carry him to an ambulance that had arrived in front of the studio. By this point, Diddy and Justin were nowhere to be seen. They'd supposedly disappeared to another part of the studio. Lil Rod also made the claim that he was given strict instructions by Diddy to tell the police that he had nothing to do with the shooting. He allegedly also forced Lil Rod to lie to the police by telling them that G was shot standing outside the studio by a drive-by assailant. NBC News shared an article which revealed that Diddy's lawyer and the Los Angeles Police Department both disagreed with the claims that Lil Rod had made in his complaint. The LAPD told CBS News at the time that the victim had been shot in the abdomen after stepping outside the studio. Meanwhile, Diddy's lawyer, Sean Hawley, told NBC News that when LAPD arrived on the scene, it was immediately determined that the shooting took place some distance from the studio. She said, neither Sean nor Justin were in the vicinity or even aware of what had occurred until afterwards. As for the original lawsuit filed against Diddy, which claimed that Justin was doing his illegal bidding, Justin unsurprisingly said that Lil Rod's accusations were nonsense. A representative for Justin told CNN, Justin Combs categorically denies these absurd allegations. They are all lies. The rep went on to say that it was a clear example of a desperate person taking desperate measures in hopes of a payday, and they added that there'd be legal consequences for all defamatory statements made about the Combs family. But let's not forget that Diddy's lawyer said something almost identical when Cassie brought her bombshell lawsuit against him. According to US Weekly, his attorney said that Cassie resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, aiming to tarnish her ex's reputation and seeking a payday. But we now know that at least some of the things that Cassie claimed in her lawsuit weren't baseless, thanks to CNN's shocking CCTV footage of Diddy harming her at a hotel in 2016. There's also another theory going around about why Diddy might have cut Justin off from his resources. And it's got something to do with a seriously crazy conspiracy theory, one that quite a few people actually believe. The word on the street is that Justin might not really be Diddy's biological son. Just hear me out. In the darkest corners of the internet, there are claims that his real father is Diddy's old friend, the late Anthony Wolfe Jones. A lot of people agree that Justin has a strong resemblance to him, and they say that he doesn't really look anything like the man who is supposed to be his dad. Diddy's ex-bodyguard, Gene Deal, gave his 2 cents on the theory during an episode of The Art of Dialogue. He claimed that Misa Hilton, Justin's mom, even refused to do a DNA test to check if Wolf was her son's real father. According to Gene, she later blamed him for starting the rumor that Justin wasn't Diddy's, though he insisted that it had already been around from long before. So there's been speculation that this theory could be the reason why Justin is reportedly being pushed out of Diddy's good books. Now that push has come to shove, it also really seems like none of Diddy's sons can escape the gossip that they might have turned on him, because his eldest son, Quincy, has also been considered as a suspect. Quincy was adopted by Diddy when he was just 3 years old, after his mom and Diddy began a relationship together in the 90s. His biological father is Albert Joseph Brown III, known professionally as Al B. Sure, but their relationship is a complicated one. There's a rumor being spread that since Quincy isn't related to Diddy by blood, then it's possible that he isn't as loyal to him as Diddy's other children. A YouTube content creator named Donation released a video where he made some pretty shocking allegations about Quincy's relationship with his adoptive father. He actually claimed that Diddy placed Quincy under a conservatorship so that he would have power and control over his life. And those who believe this theory have speculated that Quincy has always secretly resented Diddy for doing that, and he's just pretended his whole life that they get on well. To support his claim, Donation shared another theory about how Quincy has dropped hints over the years to let the public know that he isn't very close to Diddy at all. I don't know if you've heard the conspiracy theory about what happened to Quincy's mom, Kim Porter, but it's pretty dark. She tragically passed away in 2018. An article by the BBC revealed that a coroner ruled that she lost her life to pneumonia. However, that diagnosis didn't satisfy the internet sleuths out there, so a much more sinister cause for her passing started to show up in places like Reddit. Over the years, there have been a number of allegations that say that if Diddy wanted someone out of the way, then he wouldn't hesitate to have them taken out. Some believe that Kim was going to release a tell-all book which would include dirt on Diddy, and when he learned about that, he allegedly ended her life. Of course, the story goes that whoever did the dirty deed also made sure that it looked like she'd passed away from natural causes. But online users on chat forums aren't the only people who believe this conspiracy theory. An article by The Hollywood Reporter revealed that Al B. Sure also believes that Kim losing her life was not because of an illness. A week after Diddy's arrest, the singer took to his Instagram to make the allegation that his ex's life was deliberately taken from her. He wrote, "In a nutshell, Kimberly was allegedly taken from us because she was set on course to accomplish what Mrs. Cassie Ventura did by igniting the bonfire which brings us here today." He called for a criminal investigation into her passing. And allegedly, Quincy also believed that Diddy was responsible for his mom's passing, and he discreetly wanted to let the public know that he felt that way. In 2020, That Grape Juice wrote a piece about how Quincy dressed up as the Mexican artist Frida Kahlo for Halloween. Supposedly, Quincy was very purposeful in his decision to choose Frida of all people to dress up as that year. According to some rumors and conspiracy theories, it was because there were some similarities between Frida and Kim's lives which were pretty symbolic. Apparently, the Mexican artist also lost her life to pneumonia, but there was a theory that she was secretly poisoned. There's speculation that Kim was poisoned too, which is why some people suspect that Quincy also believed the theory and chose to subtly show the world his stance on it by choosing to dress up as Frida, a woman whose tragic ending supposedly mirrored the way he lost his mother. Allegedly, Quincy didn't care about having his masculinity questioned by the public when he dressed up as a woman. This theory was pushed on a Lipstick Alley thread too, and it was alleged that Quincy was even working with the FBI behind the scenes in an attempt to get Diddy to stay behind bars. I know it sounds like a pretty far-fetched conspiracy theory, but if someone told us about what Diddy is capable of 2 years ago, would we ever have believed it? If Quincy really does have any hatred toward his adoptive father, I'm pretty sure that he's not allowed the world to see it because he's one of the few people left who is publicly sticking up for Diddy while he sits in jail. Not only did he share the statement on Instagram about how he and his brothers and sisters supported their dad, but he also released one on their behalf which blasted the rumors about how Diddy supposedly mistreated his mom and denied the conspiracy theories about her demise. Billboard reported that he began the statement by saying that he and his siblings had seen so many hurtful and false rumors circulating about their parents' relationship, and they'd read painful things about their mom's tragic passing too, so they felt the need to speak out. Quincy insisted that the claims that Kim had been working on a tell-all book were simply not true. Then he took a moment to shame those who were spreading that rumor. He shared that there were people who were in Kim's life who had been pushing the narrative that there was a mysterious memoir that she'd been working on. According to Kim's children, anyone claiming to have a manuscript was misrepresenting themselves. They asked people to understand that any so-called friend, speaking on behalf of their mother or her family, was not a friend. And they didn't have her best interests at heart. Things got pretty heartbreaking at one point in the statement when the brothers and sisters revealed that their lives were shattered when they lost their mother. They said that she was their world, and nothing had been the same for them since she passed away. Quincy and the other kids also made it clear that they'd heard the conspiracy theories about how Kim had left this world, and they didn't believe a single of them. The declaration read that while it had been incredibly difficult to reconcile how their mom could be taken from them so soon, the cause of her passing had long been determined, and they insisted that there was no foul play. Quincy confessed that he and his siblings were deeply saddened that the world had made a spectacle of what had been the most tragic event of their lives. The statement ended with the kids asking that everyone respect their request for peace, as they continue to cope with her loss every day. According to an article by The Root, Diddy's 3 sons aren't just defending their father with words, they're also prepared to use their fists to protect his honor. The outlet reported on how they allegedly almost got into a fight with Ray J in October 2024. Apparently, the 4 men were part of a heated face-off in the parking lot of an LA club after leaving a Halloween party they'd all attended. Sources alleged that things only almost got physical between Ray J and Justin, but that Chris Brown intervened and got them all to calm down. Ray J later went on Nicki Minaj's Instagram Live and admitted that it wasn't the first time that he and Diddy's sons had almost gotten into a fight. So, to the outside world, it looks like all of Diddy's sons are trying to prove that they're 100% behind their dad. But you never know what really goes on behind closed doors. Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think that Christian or any of his siblings would turn on their dad if it meant immunity for them? And do you think that Christian will survive the lawsuit against him? Or will he end up in jail just like his old man? Let me know in the comments below.